The end of May is bringing us the Gemini New Moon, happening on May 26, 2025 at 11:02 p.m. Eastern Time. So keep in mind that for some people, they will have this new moon on May 27th, depending on your time zone. Well, a new day is dawning here with the Gemini new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini, 5 minutes. You want to identify where you have 6 degrees of Gemini in your chart by house placement. In this example chart, it's in the 5th house. You do not need to have a planet or point in Gemini or near these degrees in order to be working with this new start. Please note that I have a separate video for you here on YouTube called How to Find a Degree Point in Your Chart, and it is a tutorial to help you locate specific degrees. So 6 degrees of Gemini is where a new start is coming in to move you forward. You'll see that this Mercury is at 2 degrees of Gemini, conjunct the Sun and the Moon, bringing in a lot of interest, activity, socializing, a desire to open up to what's going on around you. The Gemini energy is curious, seeks information, wants to understand, wants to talk about it. And there is a lot of talking here, as not only do we have these 3 planets in the early degrees of Gemini, but Jupiter is still here in Gemini, activating now 26 degrees in your chart. This is new territory for Jupiter in Gemini as well. So when we're looking at the beginning points here of this new moon, there's a lot we have to dissect. And what I want to get to right away, like what I'm feeling and tapping into here, is that this particular new moon is activating your energy field for the new era, the new energies that are incoming through the rest of 2025 and especially into 2026. And that's because in 2026, Uranus will be in Gemini, will be in this area of your chart, moving things forward, changing up your daily life, bringing in new messages, communications, activities. There is a speeding up of energy in Gemini, and we're getting a taste of it with this new moon. And I feel like this is a time for us to, it's like, I was going to say feel into, but it's not just feel into, it's embody the new frequencies that are here to support us in our daily lives. And Gemini is your daily world, what you move about and get done, where you need to go, what you take care of. It's your devices, everything going on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. It's messages, communications, ideas, and conversations. And so just by looking at this chart alone, there is a revving up of the energy that, again, I feel like it's onboarding us to the 2026 energies when this Uranus moves in to Gemini. So that would be one of the first things I'm seeing in this chart, is that it is foreshadowing and preparing us for the changes to come. And we are sensing it. I also feel that we are recalibrating our nervous systems and our minds to handle more of these fast-moving energies. Gemini is both sides of the brain. It is the duality of the mind. We know it as the twins, and we are meant to harness right brain and left brain. How do we create a cohesive path or make a single decision based on the information we've collected, what we've learned, and what we've come to understand? With Gemini ruling the mind and the mind being strongly featured here, there is a sense of looking at not only what have you learned, but what are you newly learning? How are you adapting to the changes of modern life? How are you perhaps interacting with the new technologies, with the Chat GPT, with, it's interesting how Google has named their AI interface Gemini. How this is an energy field that is very active and very alive, and there's going to be bigger announcements, developments, and even a faster pace of life as the new moon occurs and as we move into Gemini season this year. So this is an active area for all of us, but again, for you specifically, you want to look at which house this new moon is occurring in, because it's where new messages, ideas, communications are occurring for you and where life is picking up the pace. Now, this energy is supported in very important ways, and that's why this particular Gemini new moon is about a new day dawning. And when we look at how these three are conjunct in Gemini, we notice that they are each receiving a trine from Pluto, 3 degrees of Aquarius, 42 minutes retrograde. Pluto is now moving retrograde for about 5 months, back to 1 degree, 22 minutes of Aquarius. And this Pluto is revolutionizing where we're going, what we are considering for future options and potentials, how we are being directed to look at what future do you want to create for yourself that is uplifting, advances you, perhaps takes you into some new places in yourself you never thought were possible. And with Pluto trining Mercury, the moon, and the sun, there is more force, clarity, and drive in the new endeavors that are arising in your consciousness now. And you could have a sense of the next level dreams, desires, and future potentials that you want. With the strong air energy, not only of Pluto trining these three planets in Gemini, but the Jupiter in Gemini expansion, write it down, get clear, be specific, and don't allow yourself to be indecisive or to be dispersing the energy. Gemini can be restless. The duality of Gemini is I'm moving in both directions at the same time, tapping my head, rubbing my belly. But the focal point of this trine from Pluto is about that fixated energy of Aquarius, focusing on what counts for the long term. Think beyond the everyday and reconceptualize anything that has been too small or too limiting. Powerful ideas come up here. Breakthrough ideas, solutions, a sense of, I got it. This is the thing. This is the direction. This is what works and makes the most sense. A lot of conversations are happening with the strong air signs here. And there could be a trip, staycation, travel endeavor, plans coming together. There's a lot going on here that is quite busy and active. And it can even be too much. It's where at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I am exhausted. I am really exhausted. And it's necessary to turn off the brain, turn off the mind, and give yourself other things to either direct your attention to or calm the mind. When there's this much activity, the mind needs to be harnessed and responsibly directed. And so that might be something you're sensing too, is that you need to be aware of mental patterns, programming, a lot that's going on, and you want to apply the brakes. But there's an excitement in the air here. There's an excitement. And then we bring in Saturn now in Aries. Saturn entered Aries just 2 days before the Gemini New Moon on May 24th. And Neptune, 1 degree of Aries, 46 minutes. They are now dancing together through these early degrees of Aries, showing you new potentials and beginning points that can be put into a structure and be made solid, but only through consistent energy and effort and trusting a process. Now, this whole trusting a process with Neptune and Aries slows down and diffuses the impulsiveness of Aries. Think of it as the adrenaline wants to get going, but it's actually being tempered and slowed down. And there is greater responsibility here to look at what am I putting energy towards that I want to build and develop. It's a new beginning point that is in alignment with who you are. And it is connecting nicely with this future-oriented Pluto. You can see how these early degrees of Aries, 0 and 1 degrees, are in a sextile to Pluto. And then they are also interacting nicely, these two Aries planets, with the new moon and this Mercury in Gemini. And so the Saturn brings a sense of responsibility to your energy and to what you're beginning. The Saturn energy, just like Neptune, they both slow down Aries, okay? This is not fast-moving stuff. This is not get up and go and you get immediate results. No, it's not. It's slow it down and be intentional with these new beginnings. Talk it through, talk it out, and consider what it would look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And chances are there is a solid alignment here, because you can see how all of these areas are working together through the sextiles and the trine between the Aries fire and then the air signs of Aquarius and Gemini. There can be a very solid, mature, long-term beginning point here. And it might really gain clarity and momentum when you talk it out, write it out, and move it from the head. Now, again, the Gemini energy being about duality, it's being able to take everything you're thinking and express it. Express it in a way that moves the energy. So not only is it sitting with, okay, this is what I've been thinking about, who can I talk it through with in order to move the energy? But if you've been doing a lot of talking, then it's time to listen and sit and ponder and contemplate. So the healthy Gemini honors a 2-step process. And as you trust that and move through that, clarity arrives around what it could be. This is the potentials here, the potentials. And then the Pluto in Aquarius is a surging, pulsing yes. Great energy for long-term planning, for perhaps putting together a new vision quest of some kind, for writing out what you want to create and move towards, for understanding what new chapter you're getting hints of in 2025. Now keep in mind that Saturn and Neptune are going to be dancing together. They're not going to be exactly conjunct, but they're going to be conjunct enough in August at 1 degree. Then each planet will retrograde back into Pisces before returning to Aries and having their exact conjunction February 20th, 2026 at 0 degrees, 46 minutes of Aries. So this is a sampling of what will begin more officially and strongly February 2026, when these two begin a new synodic cycle. Now, Saturn and Neptune begin a new synodic cycle together every 36 years. And the last time they started this cycle was in 1989 in Capricorn. In 2026, they begin in Aries. I feel like we're getting downloads of visions, ideas, and exciting developments that can take shape and lead you forward. At the same time, there can be an overwhelm of information, chatter, gossip, too much going on that doesn't have any meaning, a sense of it's all talk. There's no integrity here. There's no ability to move it forward or get it done. That can be how the Gemini energy presents itself when it's not grounded and rooted. But this is a little different. If you're intentional with what you want, you're going to get messages and understandings at the Gemini New Moon that can be very uplifting and beneficial and forward moving. There's excitement here. There's joy. There's again, a new day is dawning. It's a sense of, okay, now I can go forward, or this is what it's been about. I'm understanding it in a new way. And now I have a solid new starting point. Saturn at 0 degrees of Aries, this is a world point in astrology. There are 8 world points. 4 of them are connected to the 4 cardinal signs in the zodiac wheel. So 0 degrees of Aries, 0 degrees of Cancer, 0 degrees Libra, 0 degrees Capricorn. And then the other 4 world points are about the middle degrees of the fixed signs. And that would be the middle degrees of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And we can see here that this Mars was just at 15 degrees of Leo. That's a world point and is moving away. So right before the Gemini New Moon, a week or two, there could have been some big developments with this Mars in Leo activating more leadership, courage, a creative force, and again, moving forward. This Mars has been in a trine to Venus in Aries for most of May, and that stays in play into June. So this Mars has energy. There's confidence here, there's boldness here, and there's a desire to move ahead and get what you want. And you can see the Venus is approaching a conjunction to Chiron. Chiron is in new territory here at 25 degrees of Aries. And the Venus-Chiron conjunction can be a vulnerability or insecurity coming up, coming to light. However, this energy is sextiling Jupiter at 26, nearly 27 of Gemini. So there's support for understanding what you're learning about yourself, learning about Venus matters as well. And we know that Venus had a very big retrograde March 1st to April 12th. And she is moving ahead here on her own terms. And the support from Jupiter brings in levity, options, and a sense of it's just greater confidence in herself and what she's now approaching. So honestly, it's one of the most optimistic new moons of 2025 so far. It does have, again, that activity to it, a lot going on. Stay organized with everything, especially if there's many changes. That Gemini energy will make changes. But know that you could also start to have breakthroughs on the new beginnings you're ready for, as well as the new beginnings that you're committing to, and that your soul is preparing your frequency for this next, it's not just a next level. I feel like we're moving into some very big world developments. And as we do so, our mental, emotional, and physical bodies are recalibrating and evolving at the same time. So, quite a Gemini new moon. And the other thing I want to mention is that Sedna is in the early degrees of Gemini too. I've done a few podcasts on Sedna, and Sedna takes us into the depths of deeper stories, especially on the planet, and brings up more that we're meant to learn and understand. So there could be a lot of discoveries that arise during the end of May here. A lot of new research, studies, information, especially things that have been kept hidden or under the surface. Sedna brings it to our attention and brings it to our consciousness. So that is another feature here of this Gemini new moon, is that it's going to be educational in what we're learning about the history of the planet, different continents, what's going on underneath the oceans and in the oceans, and just more about the fuller story of our planet is a part of this new moon as well. As always, thank you for joining me. I hope this supports you in what you are ready for next and helping you align with the best and highest potentials in your own journey now. I'll be back with more videos here on YouTube soon, and wishing you a beautiful Gemini new moon.